What was your evolution into coming to terms with your own gender queerness? Was it something you knew right away? Was it something you expressed right away?
Some of my first memories, period, that I have in my head of childhood are of gender sort of issues, right? Because I think I knew everything I needed to know about who I was and about what my gender felt like when I was a child. And then the world, it was like I was put into a cage bar by bar, and it was so gradual that I didn't even realize it was being built. And then one day I looked around and I was like, oh crap, like I'm trapped in here. You know, this masculinity manhood thing is really tough. And then it's been about, it's been about slowly and surely pulling those bars out and emancipating myself from that.
Yeah.
And I'm still not done with that process.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'll ever be done with that process, because gender is not a destination, it's a journey, and we're all discovering things all the time.
The mountain kind of was unlearning everything that I thought I had to be, and accepting these new identities that, felt more comfortable. Well, I'm really hoping North Carolina makes the right decision today and repeals this harmful law that's really hurting the trans community. An area that I hold near and dear to my heart is abolishing the gender binary, as I'm a transgender person and have been confronted by harmful effects of living within that construct my entire life. My preferred gender pronouns are she or they. I identify as trans feminine, a trans woman. I believe I'm simultaneously like a girl and a genderqueer person because I have trans experience and I've navigated gender in a non-binary format. The highlight of the fashion season has definitely been walking for Marc Jacobs. Public schools in America are continuing to struggle with accommodating the needs of gender non-conforming and trans young people, as we saw in North Carolina when they passed the bathroom bill.
If you look back in history, there's been a series of historic movements of people who were viewed as different, as other. And I think what happened in North Carolina should give you some measure of hope, because as you know, there was such an outcry, and there was an effort made to reverse the legislation. That doesn't change attitudes overnight. You know that better than I. But you've got to have the institutional barriers come down first. And then you begin to hope people will be more understanding, compassionate as they get to know more people, and that will change attitudes.
A few years ago, my father apologized for my childhood. I was cleaning my apartment, and the phone rang, and I did something very uncharacteristic. I saw it was him, and I answered. And he said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the way I treated you. I'm sorry for how things went when you were a kid. And I said something like, that's cute, Dad. That's cute. I don't really remember what I said, but I really remember Dad saying, I was worried about what other parents would think of me because of who you are. I was worried that other parents would judge me because you are who you are. Today, the thing you were taught is most wrong with you is your greatest asset. The thing you were taught to hide and feel shame about is what is going to make you a potent activist moving forward. It's going to start a new age for you. If you didn't notice, my thing is being queer, right? So I was taught as a kid to hide who I am, to hide how gender fluid I am, to feel shame and to feel awful. And today, it feels a little funny to phrase it this way, but I'm the poster child for being queer. That's what I do on the internet. And if I can be myself, so can you. See if you can think of a time, recall a time when you got the message that you were too much. Any memory will do, it's not a contest. For some people, it's something that happened last week or years and years ago. People often tell me it's a past romantic partner or a parent. Any memory will do. Do you remember what you were wearing? What was the weather like that day? What did it feel like to get that message? Can you get a sense as you're sitting there of what you were too much of? Fill in the blank. Too much blank. Too blank. All right. What did you get? Too what? Shout it out. This is the participation part. Too much what? What? Oh, dramatic. Story of my life. Someone else, yes? Too silly. Yes, I love it. Too needy. Who was that? I love you. That is also me, too needy. Someone else? Too loud. What's your name? Jasmine. Jasmine, repeat after me. I'm Jasmine. I'm too loud. I'm here to save Planned Parenthood. Yeah, exactly. Whatever it was that you learned is the thing that's too much about you can be bent, can be flipped, can be loved, can be accepted, and can become the basis for your activism. If you were told you're too loud, you need to be the one on the front lines screaming. You ready? Yeah. If you were told you're too needy, you need to take that empathy, right? You need to take what you have learned from being too needy and use it to care for the needs of others. I didn't think I was going to say this next part, but here it comes. When I was a kid, there were times when my dad tried to beat the queer out of me. This is not a time to sleep. There are people in this world that need you to be yourself to show them it's possible. I work with GLSEN, G-L-S-E-N, the Gay, Lesbian, and Straight Education Network, and they make sure schools are safe for everyone around the country. And as part of that work, they do a school climate survey. And in their last survey, they found that 1 in 10 kids in elementary school was identified by their peers or their teachers as falling outside the traditional norms for their gender. So, in other words, the peers and the teachers identified other kids, 1 in 10, as being gender nonconforming. And those gender nonconforming kids, like me, those gender nonconforming kids were almost twice as likely to be bullied at school, sometimes by their teachers. We need you. There are people that need to know the metaphor, right? You need to put on your Manolos, whatever form that takes, and help. It's urgent.